All right, folks. Well, good afternoon. Thank you for attending here for our ConTex Conahcyt info session. My name is Jesse Singleton. I am the Assistant Director for Student Support with UTEP's Graduate School. We're joined by a lot of great staff here today to help us out this session, both from the graduate school and from ConTex. I'll do a really quick introduction of my staff and then let the ConTex staff introduce themselves, and then we'll get started for the day. Joining us to help out, we have Daisy Marquez, who is our Coordinator for Outreach and Recruitment. And then Angel Diaz, who is our coordinator for student success and fellowships, joining us here today. And then we have some wonderful staff from the ConTex team here joining us as well. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Jesse, Angel, everybody at UTEP for having us this afternoon. My name is Olivia Mogollon, and I'm the Academic Programs Coordinator at ConTex.
I am Paloma Perry, and I am the Director of Programs at ConTex.
And I am Travis Magruder, and I am the Communications Specialist for ConTex.
Awesome. Thank you. And thanks again to the ConTex folks for being here today. They're going to actually share the bulk of the information today as the experts on this program, and we're really very excited and glad to have them here for our session. So I'll get us started. So overall today, we're going to be covering just some welcome and introductions. We've achieved that goal already, so that's excellent. We're going to mostly spend our time going over an overview of the ConTex Conahcyt program. We're going to talk about the call that's been issued, the components of the application and eligibility requirements, so you have a good opportunity to understand all of that. And then we'll have some time towards the end for some Q&A with the ConTex program coordinators. And if you have questions that relate more to the UTEP graduate school side of the portion for support, we'll jump in and answer those questions for you as well. And so that's the loose guide of what we're doing today for our session. As we go through, I will be staffing, as well as my colleagues staffing, the digital space. And so if you have questions, please feel free to post those in the chat, raise your hand as you go through. If we're not clear on something you need to elaborate, please feel free to raise that hand. That way we can make sure we get your question answered. The most important thing with our session today is making sure that you have all the information you need to successfully apply for this application. So we'll be supporting you well through that in the digital space. So post away in the chat if you need anything at all. Also, if there's any issues with the sound or the quality, let us know that and we can try to adjust and fix that. We are recording the session today, and I will send that recording out once we finish uploading it to our YouTube channel to all of the participants so that folks have a copy. So if you're working through the material and you need some clarification or want to go back and review, you'll have that as a reference. And again, thank you to the ConTex folks for allowing us to record today and do that. Just want to really quickly touch on a few of the folks also that are partnering with us and kind of major players in this initiative. The UTEP Graduate School will assist with this program and helps advertise and get the word out about the Conahcyt ConTex program, as well as providing support. And we'll talk about later about helping you collect your documentation for this. The ConTex team is hugely instrumental in this program, and I'll allow them to talk a bit about all the things that they do to help support this and make this really beneficial program available to students. There's obviously the UT system is a big supporter of this initiative, and then the Conahcyt office themselves, who provide the funding and run the process and are collecting the application. So these are the major partners in this initiative we'll be talking about today. And then just really quickly before we get into the information, we want to talk a little bit about UTEP and Conahcyt and ConTex, how we've been doing and why we are really excited to have a lot of students involved and invested in this program. It's because UTEP has been very successful in the ConTex Conahcyt Scholars Program. We currently have 30 scholars in 14 different doctoral programs here at UTEP, which is a really strong cohort of students that have received this funding and are pursuing their academic goals here. There's been 40 ConTex doctoral fellowships for PhD students between 2017 and 2013. And so that's also a really good cohort of folks that have gone through this program. Some folks have advanced on and finished their degrees. We've had 7 folks that have finished their PhD utilizing this funding. And right now we are currently ranked #1 across UT system in awards received through this program. And so it's an area where UTEP performs very well, and we want to continue to do that. I want you to know, as students coming in, that we have had a lot of students find success with this, find funding through this, and we want to continue to arm you to be able to do that and utilize the program. And overall, our approach is, how can we help you do that? How can we support the scholars and the applicants and the current scholars in this mission? So that's what we're here for. I'm going to go ahead and pitch it over to our ConTex folks, and Olivia, I believe, is starting off the presentation over there to get into the meat and potatoes of this session. But again, if you have any questions as we go through, post those in the chat, raise your hands, let us know, and we'll be happy to answer those. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. This is Paloma Perry. If we can have the next slide, please. Okay, great. As Jesse mentioned, this is ConTex. ConTex is a joint initiative of the University of Texas System and Mexico's National Council of Humanities, Sciences, and Technologies, which is Conahcyt, which I'm sure everybody in Mexico is familiar with that. ConTex was established in 2016, and the mission of ConTex is support by national efforts to enhance academic and research collaborations between Texas and Mexico. We're gonna center, although we have 3 programs, we're gonna speak only of the doctoral fellowship programs, which is offered jointly by Conahcyt and the UT system. And this is the ConTex fellowship. So you don't need to, it's not 2 different scholarships, it's just one that we offer in collaboration with Conahcyt. So next slide, please, Jesse. And I'm just gonna, again, we have 2 partners, the University of Texas System, which, as you know, is one of the largest systems of higher education in the United States. And it comprises 14 institutions, UTEP being one of them, and educates nearly 256,000 students. And Conahcyt, the National Council of Humanities, Science, and Technologies, is an autonomous public entity that promotes scientific research, technological development, and innovations in Mexico. So again, we're focused on one program, which is the Doctoral Fellowship Program, and Olivia will dive into the details.
Thank you, Paloma. And Jesse, we could move forward 2 slides. Perfect, thank you. So like Paloma said, we're going to focus on the Doctoral Fellowships Program. I am the academic program coordinator, so I work with the students from the beginning that from the very beginning when they are interested or decide to apply to the scholarship, all the way to the end. So through their studies and all the way until they graduate from with their PhD degree. What are the things you need to know? What are the basics that you need to know about the ConTex Conahcyt scholarship in order to have a successful application? And let's start from the very beginning. Who can apply? Who's eligible to apply? In terms of eligibility, it's pretty simple. There are just 2 things that an applicant has to meet in order to apply. One is to have already been accepted to a doctoral program. That means that if you're still waiting for your letter of acceptance, you cannot apply. Well, I mean, you can start working on the application, but you really cannot submit the application until you have been accepted to the doctoral program. So that's one thing. The other thing is that you have to have Mexican citizenship. You can be a dual citizen. You can have American citizenship and Mexican citizenship, but you have to be a Mexican national. And the reason for this is pretty simple. So this program is partly financed by the government of Mexico, so by Mexico's taxpayers. So obviously, they wanted to benefit Mexican citizens. Another thing that's important to mention, and it's not really a requirement for eligibility, but it's a requirement for students to be able to apply for the fellowship at a particular point in time, is that if you had a previous scholarship from Conahcyt, so if you had previous Conahcyt funding, you have to have your, what the Conahcyt calls your Carta de Liberación, which in other words is a certification that you have satisfied all of Conahcyt's previous commitments. So if you had a Conahcyt support for your master's, before you're allowed to apply for your PhD, for support for your PhD, you have to go through the process with Conahcyt and get your Carta de Liberación. They will not allow you to apply for the next step unless you have confirmed with them that you have, satisfied all the requirements of the previous step. So those are really just the two eligibility criteria and the additional requirement in order to apply for a Conahcyt ConTex fellowship. What does a fellowship entail? What does it include? So it has three major components of support for 5 years of study. And so the way we structure it is, since it's a collaboration, Conahcyt pays the first 4 years of the scholarship, and then ConTex or UT system through ConTex pays the 5th year in case the student needs it to complete their studies. So it's 5 years of support. It includes tuition, which for 2024 is of support of up to $11,744. It includes a monthly stipend of $1,100 if the applicant is single, or $1,375 if the applicant has dependents. And then they have some support, which is pretty small, but it's $715 per year, or a little higher with dependents, towards health insurance. I would recommend that Mexican students get in touch or talk to the people at UTEP, because Mexican students have a special, not arrangement, but they are handled under special circumstances regarding the health insurance. So please get in touch with UTEP and see how this works at the university. Another thing that's very important to point out is that pair agreement between Conahcyt and UT system, ConTex fellows receive in-state tuition for the duration of their scholarship, regardless of whether they have a TA-ship or a GRA-ship or any other thing. ConTex fellows at UTEP get in-state tuition, and the mechanism for ConTex awardees to get the in-state tuition is through the PASA program at UTEP. So for that, if you have questions, please let us know, and Jesse and the folks at UTEP can give you more information. But it's just important to point out that in general, the $11,744 will cover all or most of the yearly tuition at UTEP if under in-state tuition, paying in-state tuition. So that's a really good amount of support. So if we can go to the next one, Jesse, please, the next slide. Okay, we're going to talk about the components right now of the application. This is just in general, and the application is a lot more detailed, but I think it's important to talk about the components at this point, just to let you know in general what you'll need to submit, and also where at UTEP or who you can ask for the documents at UTEP. So, but regardless of this list, please make sure to go over the call in detail and pay attention to everything that the call is asking for. And so, in general, the acceptance letter must be on institutional letterhead. And Jesse, please, at this point, feel free to join the conversation, pitch in any additional information that you think would be relevant. In terms of the actual, what you need to have or what is required on the letter, please, look at the call, but they need your full name. So when they ask you for a full name, is Mexican style. So first name, middle name, third name if you have it, father's last name, mother's last name. Don't leave anything out. It has to be the name exactly as it appears on your Mexican ID. So that's just one example. Please pay attention to everything that the call states. You can get this letter at the graduate school, and also please pay attention to this requirement because we've had some problems. Conahcyt requires a Spanish translation of the letter. They call it a simple translation. That means that you don't have to have it notarized, so the student can translate it, and it doesn't even have to be on letterhead, the translation. They just want to see what it says in Spanish, right? So pay attention to all those things. A lot of students ask about the acceptance letter. Okay, UTEP already gave me an acceptance letter, but it doesn't have all the information. So yeah, that's right. So what Conahcyt is requiring is you can submit that letter of acceptance, and besides that letter, you need to get another document from UTEP that states everything that Conahcyt is requiring, and that's the letter that you can get at the graduate school with whomever Jesse let us know later on. That's going to be your point of contact for that. They're requesting an enrollment verification letter. That just means that you are proof that you are enrolled at the university. I really don't know what Goldmine is. Jesse, I don't know if you want to pitch in.
Yeah, students should be familiar with Goldmine. That's essentially their student portal where they can log in to register for classes, pay their bills, things like that. And so you should be able to access your enrollment verification letter directly from Goldmine. However, if you have any questions about that or struggling, specifically for if you need another copy of your acceptance letter or the enrollment verification, my recommendation is to email gradadmissions@utep.edu. The enrollment coordinator staff would probably be most equipped to handle that efficiently. And then as far as like the specific like program degree plan letter we're going to talk a bit about, we have a request form we'll have a QR code for later where you can provide all your information to us, and then my team provides that letter. And I'll put that email in the chat here so you all have it. Just really quickly, we'd have folks that ask some questions about master's students, and I'll share here. I've put some information in the chat. A lot of the presentation from ConTex is going to talk about the doctoral program because that is where they are specifically functioning, although the Conahcyt call does reference also master's students, and so there is funding availability there, and the support the graduate school can provide is similar in that as far as the letters required, the components, the support from our side on it. And so all information is really helpful for all students on that. So just want to make sure everyone knows that.
Thank you, Jesse. Those are very important things to point out. And just to emphasize it, the Conahcyt ConTex program is exclusive for doctoral studies. And but the Conahcyt call actually accepts applications from master's students. One of the main difference, although the application is the same, is that doctoral students get 5 years of support and master's students get 2. So that's in general just one thing to point out, which is going to be different from what you're hearing here at this info session. The degree plan, that's just what classes you're going to take, in what year, what's the progression. UTEP, your academic department can provide it, from what Jesse had been saying. Some people actually get the degree plan from the website and just do a screenshot, and Conahcyt actually accepts it. But what you need to be very aware of and pay attention to is that they also require a Spanish translation for this. So, and it's a simple thing. I mean, you can do it through Google Translate and just double check that it's accurate. It doesn't have to be notarized, but these 2 components of the application, the acceptance letter and the degree plan, require Spanish translations, and they will not accept your application if you do not submit the translation. So pay attention to that. Preliminary research statement, they call it an anteproyecto. It's just a very short preliminary research plan of what you're planning on researching, and what is your strategy, to do the research. What's your plan? Pay attention to this, and we'll talk a little bit more about this later on. But this is part of the application components. Once again, you have to be very, very careful about following each and every one of the instructions and requirements from the call. This research statement has to be signed by the applicant. They ask for your signature. So even if you have a great anteproyecto, if you don't sign it, they will not accept it. So please sign it. Pay attention to everything. The official annual tuition document. The graduate school can provide you with a letter. I just want to make a recommendation here. In previous years, some students have actually submitted screenshots of the cost of tuition at the school, right? Be careful with that, because there are two things that are important here. One, normally schools publish on their websites tuition costs per semester, and Conahcyt is asking for yearly, annual tuition costs. So it's happened before where students have submitted copies or screenshots of what, the information on the website, and then Conahcyt only gives them half of what they would need because they're only giving them support for one semester. Our recommendation is that you request this document from the graduate school, and that you provide a letter that states the annual tuition for a full-time student, which for graduate students is 9 semester credit hours in the spring and the fall, and 3 semester credit hours in the summer. And just add everything up, the full amount plus mandatory fees, and present that letter, this document, with just one amount. So let's just say, for the 3 semesters tuition and fees for a full-time doctoral student, the total cost is $16,000. I'm just making this up, but that's the number that you would need. One more thing, so proof of Mexican citizenship. They ask for a copy of your passport. They ask for a copy of your INE, your voting ID, your voting ID. They have other IDs that are acceptable, but I don't think they take a driver's license, for example. So be careful and read through and find out what are the acceptable proofs of Mexican citizenship. If you're a dual citizen and you have dual citizenship, make sure that you have this ID. So it's not enough to be a Mexican citizen. You need to have proof of it. So if you don't have at this point your passport, maybe it's a good time to go get it. I don't know, for example, if the birth certificate is enough. I think you need actually an ID with a photograph. So passport is preferable. And then you're going to need to submit a copy of your master's degree if you have a master's, or your bachelor's degree if you're going straight to the PhD from your bachelor's. Regarding this, and this is new for this year, on the acceptance letter, you have to specify whether you have a master's, so you're starting your PhD with a master's, or whether you're what they call a doctorado directo, which is nothing more than saying, yeah, I'm going to my PhD straight from my bachelor's. So these are the main components. These are the, where you can get the document from. But as always, if you have any questions, you can reach us at ConTex, reach the graduate school and you at UTEP, and we will definitely help you out with this. Going on to the next slide. Thank you,
Just really
Jesse.
quickly, we have a couple questions to put in here. So we had a question, does the
Perfect.
preliminary research statement have to be written in Spanish as well?
No, for that one, I think it could, no, that one can be in English. You don't have to translate it.
Excellent. And we had a question about where we submit all the application components. We'll be getting to that a bit later with some links and things. So, but do know, Andrea, who asked that, we'll be getting to that a bit later.
I can just say real fast something about
Sure,
that. Everything's submitted online. Everything's online. And so I'll go into a little more detail, but everything's online.
Excellent, thank you. And then there's a lot of reference to the letter, and we'd be requesting that kind of includes the cost and things like that. Just to let folks know, again, that's the form I've been referencing, where we'll have a link and a QR code where you can submit a form to the graduate school with all your information so that we can then turn around and generate your letter and send it to you, just so you know for that. Thank you. I'll go ahead and pitch it back to you.
Thank you so much, Jesse. Okay, so we cannot go into and analyze, every part of the call. It's just, impossible in a session like this one. But we can give you some general piece of advice. We can let you know what we've found out through the years that's most important in terms of successful application. So we can, summarize it in these 4 things. So please follow exactly all, and we capitalized it on purpose, exactly all the requirements on the call. Pay attention to every detail, and I'll give you examples. It's happened before. It happened last year, actually, where a person submitted the, letters, their plan of how they were going to go about returning to Mexico, their plan of returning to Mexico, right? And it was a good letter. I read it, and I'm like, you included everything that the call is asking for. I don't see why they're rejecting it. So I'm reading and reading. Finally, we reached out to Conahcyt because really I couldn't figure it out, and they said it's not signed. Oh, okay, it's not signed. You have to sign it. If they say sign, you have to sign it. If they say underline the cost, underline the cost. If they say, do not go over 3 pages of the pre-proposal, do not go over 3 pages. It's not like they're not going to read the 4th page. It's just they're going to reject your application. So pay attention to everything. Second pointer, of our general advice, take in consideration the priority areas. This call is pretty open. So it covers most of the areas of study, but it does not cover, for example, finance, MBA. It does not cover it does not cover law school. It does not cover medical school, although it does cover nursing school. Why? I don't know, but that's the case. So just take in consideration the priority areas. See that your area is covered by the call. And if you have questions about this, if you're not sure about it, I would recommend that you get in touch with Conahcyt directly. There's contact information on the very last page of the call. Just send them a message asking, for example, because this is the case. For example, a PhD in public health, am I eligible to apply? In most cases, PhDs are eligible. So even if it's public health. So public health, yes. Medicine, no, for example. Nursing, yes. Dentistry, no. So if you have questions about that, just contact them directly. But like I said, it covers most of the areas. It's pretty open, so that's good. 2 more pieces of advice. The Conahcyt will evaluate your applications in 2 steps. The first one is an administrative review. So in this first step, they will make sure that you have all the documentation that you need and that everything is the way they asked for it. So that you have the Spanish translations of the letter, that the letter has all the information that they requested, that kind of thing. But once they screen the application for that, and you have passed the the administrative review, then you go into an academic evaluation. That's where they will evaluate the strength of your proposal, what you're planning on study, what is your research proposal, and they understand it's a pre-proposal. You're just starting the PhD, but you know, in general, they want to see that your proposal makes sense. So basically, the academic evaluation will be evaluated based on this pre-proposal. So it's important. Pay attention to it. Don't leave it to the very last moment. So put effort into this and get the help of your advisor, either in Mexico or a mentor or a professor that you know in your area who's also interested in your research area. Get their feedback and ask them for advice in terms of the pre-proposal. But also make sure that you don't go over the number of pages that they allow. So this is important. The other thing that's important is that evaluators want to see a strong commitment from the applicant to return to Mexico and to contribute to the development of the country. This is, I mean, the reason for this is what I mentioned at the beginning, right? The fellowship is sponsored in large part by the Mexican taxpayer. So obviously, Mexico, Conahcyt wants to see you go back and contribute to Mexico with your new knowledge. And they will gauge this basically based on the essay questions and the return plan. This is part of the call. This is in the same section as the pre-proposal. So, you know, in a nutshell, pay attention to every detail, every requirement that they ask, and focus your attention. Make sure that you have a strong pre-proposal with a strong statement of why you're planning on going back to Mexico, how you're planning on contribute to the development of the country, right? That's all I would have to say in general about the requirements. We can talk more about this at the end if you have questions. But for now, I would like to talk about the application steps and the key dates. So we'll go into the question, the student's question about the application. So, you know, 4 basic steps to apply. First one, we already touched on it. So you need to apply and be admitted. So already be admitted to a doctoral program at a UT system institution. As UTEP students, UTEP also wants to know who you are and support you in the process. So they want you to register. Jesse, once again, if you have any additional information to provide, please feel free. But UTEP wants you to register by May 15th. Is there anything else that we need to know about that, Jesse?
No, that is the form I've been talking about. That gives us a lot of information, helps us generate your letters and information, helps us keep in contact with you. And so that one is a really key question pro form we ask you to complete.
And the QR code at the very top will take you to the registration form. So you know, it's pretty straightforward how to get there. So third step, register with ConTex. You see the link there on our website. You also can follow the QR code. This is a very simple registration form. It's really just one page. We're asking for your name, contact information, what doctoral program you're interested in, or what doctoral program you are already you know, pursuing. And the reason for us asking you to register with us is we just want to accompany you through the process. We want to support you, provide you with information, make sure that you have all the support you need throughout the application process. And hopefully when you get the scholarship, you know, we'll continue with the support as you progress in your PhD program. And then the last one, and this is the one that we're focusing on right now, is you have to submit an application on the Conahcyt platform. So basically submit an application and be awarded a Conahcyt fellowship. You have to submit, the applications are open right now, and the deadline to submit is May 24th, 2024 at 11:59 p.m. That's the latest that you can submit it. I would definitely recommend that you submit the application as soon as possible, and definitely not on May 24th. All of the application is done through the Conahcyt website, their platform. And basically, there are two things you need to generate or do on their platform. The first one is generate a number. They call it, they used to call it CVU. Now they call it a número de perfil único, which is like your ID, right? Like you have a UTEP ID. Going through this process, you will get a Conahcyt ID that will allow you to go into their platform. So first you generate the ID, and then you log into their platform and you submit the application online. The deadline is May 24th, but please, my advice is do it much sooner. We've had, people get in touch with us in a panic because the system in Mexico is frozen because there are too many people trying to apply on the last day. So they have technical issues with the system, and it's a mess. So try to do it sooner than later for that reason, and to give Conahcyt more time to provide feedback. There's another thing on the call that you may not know exactly what it refers to. They call it Periodo de Inconsistencias, which runs from May 27th through June 14th, 2024. You could call it a corrections period. This is an important addition to the process, and it's an important period in the process. So if, let's say, you're missing a signature on the preproyecto, Conahcyt will get in touch with you and say, hey, you need to turn in this document again with your signature. So they will give you the opportunity to correct mistakes or problems with your application, but only, and please be very much aware of this, only between May 27th and June 14th. If you do not correct the problems, if you don't submit the revised documents by that time, you will not go through from the administrative to the academic evaluations. They will reject it on administrative basis, basically. So make sure at this point in time to keep an eye out for communications with Conahcyt. Sometimes they send emails, sometimes they do it through the platform. So just keep your eyes open for any communication from Conahcyt. Be on the lookout. The results will be announced on August 2nd. So on that day, you will know if you received the support. They normally, this year they said they would publish the results. And so what they do is they publish the list of perfiles únicos that were awarded. So you'll know, and then later on, if you were awarded, you will get an email from Conahcyt letting you know about next steps. And then the final thing that I want to touch on, because it's important, is, so even though this whole process will be going on in 2024, the deadline to accept the award is March 31st, 2025. So this is an opportunity. If you're thinking of maybe starting your PhD in the spring and your program allows it, the funding will be eligible for you. So as long as you start your studies before March 31st, 2025, this call, or this cycle of the call, is good for you. That's everything I would say about the application steps and the key dates. You also have the QR codes for the ConTex registration and for the Conahcyt application. I think in general, we've covered most, all the important points. So at this time, if you don't mind, Jesse, just the final slide. If you have any questions, we're here to support you. We are here to try to answer all your questions. And if for whatever reason you cannot ask your question at this point, at this time, or if you're listening to this recording later on, please feel free to email me, and my email thank you. My email address is there, or our general ConTex email, that's also good. And we all see it at ConTex, the context@utsa.edu. And for UTEP, also Jesse added contact information. But like I said, questions right now or questions later, we're always open and very happy to support you. So please, any questions, Jesse, anything that may have come through the chat, Travis, anything that may have come through the chat, or you know, if you want to raise your hand, please, by all means.
Yeah, we did have one question that came through. Antonio has asked just to make sure I've received my letter of acceptance for a PhD in business administration with a focus in finance. Does this mean I'm not eligible to apply? And I know we had mentioned that finance is potentially not a fundable. So could you clarify that?
I believe that you are not eligible. So business and finance are not on the list of priority areas. But what I would do, like I said, is just confirm with Conahcyt. The priority areas are listed on pages 4 and 5 of the application. And like I said, there's a link there to the application. You can also find it on the Conahcyt website. There's contact information at the very end on page 13 of the application. There's a contact email and number there, Asignación Becas Extranjeros, so you can look it up. I would confirm, Antonio. I would say no, but I'm not Conahcyt. So I would say just confirm, but I honestly doubt it.
Sorry,
I don't think business would.
Olivia, you're referring to the call, not the application.
Yeah, I'm referring, sorry.
Call. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, yes. Look at the last page of the call. There's an email address and phone number, contact information for questions. I would recommend that you get in touch with them and confirm. But I've never seen, and I'm very sorry, but I've never seen a scholarship for a PhD in business or finance so far.
Thank you. The question from someone, they asked that they just did their dual citizenship last year and changed their last name in the US only. How would they prove that they're the same person, or should they reach out to Conahcyt to ask for information about that?
That's a good question. So Conahcyt will only ask for copy of your Mexican ID. So if you write the application with your the name that on your ID, you shouldn't have problems, except if your academic records have a different a different name. I'm sorry about that. So I would say get in touch with them and ask them. That's a good question. They are picky about that. So if, like in my case, my maiden name is Mogollon, if I applied, if my academic records were in my married name Lopez, I don't think they would take them. So please confirm with Conahcyt. Look once again at the contact email on the call, and for advice on that. I think that the best thing would be, if possible, just to make the name change.
Thank you. Another question that was posed, asking about the commitment to return to Mexico. What happens if they get a job, investigation opportunity in the United States once the PhD is done?
That's also a good question. So Conahcyt requests that you return to Mexico at least for 6 months at the completion of your program to contribute to the development of the country. But we know of some people who have, and they give you about a year to start the process of getting your Carta de Liberación. So we know of some people who have actually requested and obtained OPT, so they have stayed with the OPT permission for longer, and then they go back to Mexico. Once again, in that regard, that's something that would be important to clarify with Conahcyt, because the requirement is on the call, and they do have specific rules about that. Another document that would be important to review in that regard would be el reglamento de becas. So the rules, scholarships, Conahcyt scholarships rules, reglamento de becas, and there's more information about that about the requirement to go back to Mexico on the reglamento, and it's also on the Conahcyt website. But if if you send me an email, I can certainly send you back a link with a link that'll take you to the reglamento. But that's something that you would have to specifically talk to Conahcyt about.
Thank you. Another question, can a dual citizen receive both financial aid and Conahcyt funding?
Yeah, so there's no, at least on Conahcyt ConTex part, there's no problem with receiving both forms of aid. Actually, Conahcyt and ConTex, we're aware that in most cases, the student will require additional support to support themselves and maybe for books or transportation. So Conahcyt does not set a limit and does not have any rules that would say that they cannot have the Conahcyt support and additional support from the institution, from another non-governmental organization like Fulbright. So there are no restrictions. The Conahcyt is not, the Conahcyt ConTex Fellowship is not exclusive in that regard. So it allows for other forms of support.
Excellent, thank you. So just so folks know, I did post the official call from Conahcyt is now in the chat as a link. You can also find that on UTEP's website. I have a link to that. When you and I'll drop the link in the chat as well for the section of our website where we cover some of these types of resources. Where you can find some of this, but I did post that out there so you can see that. And again, for our master's students that had questions about how this impacts them directly, if you review the call, there is some information specifically for our master's students on there that helps translate some of the context of our conversation today into the master's space. So other questions that we might have, again, feel free to post in the chat, raise your hand, come off mute. We would love to help you answer those questions.
And if you cannot think of the questions right now, like I said, don't worry. If you're going through the call and you think, oh my God, I didn't ask about this, you can certainly email us later. That's definitely not a problem.
Going once, going twice, Bueller. All right. Well, we've had a good amount of time actually for questions because folks have had a time to digest the information given. So I think we probably got a good amount of questions answered. Again, we've got the contact information for our folks today. If you have a question specific about ConTex or want to talk to the experts, Olivia has been kind enough to provide her email there at UTSA and the general email for ConTex as a point of contact. And then myself as the Assistant Director for Student Support, and then Angel Diaz as the Coordinator for Student Success and Fellowships. We'll be providing assistance on the UTEP side of things through our email gradfund@utep.edu. And so if you email that with questions, we'd be happy to help you out, whether it's about the form or anything else. We'll be happy to try and assist you with this process.